really happy to be here. It like honestly, I'm gonna be straight up and honest. It took a lot to like get here, even though I was literally just in the living room. But to get myself up, it took a lot. So I'm really happy that I made it. How are you feeling, Alexis?
I am feeling similarly. I'm excited for the conversation. I've been excited all day. But I'm like, I, it's funny because I slept really good last night, but because I haven't been sleeping pretty consistently for a while, like I felt good for like half the day, and then I started to really feel it catch up to me. And the clouds came in, and it's been like, drizzly, and it's going to start pouring over here, and so my energy levels went down. But now I'm here and I feel relaxed and
Yeah.
ready to talk about Beltane.
Beltane, it's literally in 2 days as we're recording this. If you end up listening to it on Spotify, happy full moon. I don't know if you're going to listen to it Friday when we release it, which is the day of Beltane and the Scorpio full moon. But either way, happy full moon, happy Beltane. So we've been like kind of working up to this conversation for the past couple weeks as we've been really excited and could just really feel the potency of the thinning veil. So it made sense to have like a special episode dedicated specifically to Beltane. And also it's going to be a full moon in Scorpio. So I mean, we have to devote like the time and energy to this energy. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about the dream portal of Beltane and the full moon in Scorpio and how that can impact your dream space. And so if you're listening live, if you're watching or listening to the replay, definitely feel free to share with us how, your dream space has been recently as the veil's been thinning. And we would love to just hear your thoughts about this topic. So before we get into all of that, we do have a few announcements. So I'll share mine first. This Sunday, May 3rd, I am facilitating a community dream circle via Ritual Craft School. So that's the same venue. It's not a venue. I mean, it's a metaphysical shop in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado. But essentially, I always host my dream classes through their school, and I'll be doing a full moon circle, or not, sorry, not a full moon circle. Although this one is like around the full moon, but that might not always be the case, but I'm doing it quarterly. And so, yeah, if you are wanting to participate and come share your dreams, ask questions, I'll definitely be talking more about this energy too, because it'll be on the other side of it. And so, yeah, if you're curious and want to learn more or want to register, you can do so in the link in the description of this video.
Absolutely. I know that's going to be amazing. So the next topic we have to announce is, of course, Dramigos. So if you guys don't already know, Urania and I work for a dream recording app called Dramigos. That's Dreamigos, and you can find that on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. You can record your dreams in a variety of different ways, between, uh, adding your photo, voice to text, and just regular plain text. You can keep that private for yourself, or you can add that to our Dreamline, which is a public line where you have the opportunity to get guidance and interpretation from dream experts like Urania and I. What's cool about this too is that if you sign up, you have the opportunity to participate in a free dream circle or sofa chat. And we just had ours last night. It was a sofa chat. It was wonderful. We went real deep. It was very profound and very exciting. And it's just a great opportunity for you to share your dreams and your ideas around dreaming. So if you haven't done that today, go sign up.
Awesome. Cool. So let's go ahead and talk about Beltane. I was sharing with Alexis a book that I just remember I had, and because it's honestly it's not easy to find um any kind of like material on the Wheel of the Year aside from obviously the internet. And I have a bunch of different witch books but they tend to like always have like a little bitty like, you know, excerpt or something or a section for it.
Right.
So when I saw that Llewellyn publishing company, they have like these little mini books which are so cute. And they have one for each Sabbath. I had to like get it, but I forgot I had it actually. And this is probably like our second time talking about Beltane. Well, more than twice, but anyway. So if you are interested in just looking for books that have stuff about these Sabbats, I really recommend this. And you can get it from Barnes and Nobles. You can get it online. I know they have an ebook version of this, or you can buy it as a set with all the Sabbats. So that's definitely something I would take advantage of. And I'm pretty sure the ritual that I shared about, I think it was like our last conversation, or maybe when we did nature spirits with the dandelions, I pretty sure I got it from this book. So they have a bunch of like rituals and practices. They have the lore and even recipe and crafts that you can do for each Sabbath. So I would definitely check it out if you want to go deeper with this.
I love that so much, and it makes me want to get all the Sabbats. Like
Yeah.
having the wheel of the year and then being able to deep dive and use as reference when each come about. I tend to kind of go based on like, bits and pieces I see online and then my intuition and like whatever guides me. But I just feel like it's such a great source of material to be able to open up a book and really like dive into the history and the rituals and all of the things you can incorporate, right there on your desk.
Yeah. And they give you like the modern and like the olden ways perspective as well as practices and so forth. So I really, yeah, I I highly recommend it.
And we
So
don't sponsor Llewellyn, but if
we
you're
don't.
listening,
We don't. No.
if you
But
want to
I
sponsor
love Liam
us,
because she's, or I don't know if it's a she, but the publishing company, they have like all the old school, like spiritual pagan type books and stuff. So like that's like
fantastic.
the go-to publisher when you're doing anything like that. Um, but yeah, no, we're not sponsored. But if anyone's listening that has like the connections, we could definitely, um, I would definitely promote this as I already did for free. So, getting into Beltane, so I think we've talked a little bit about this, but we're going to touch on, you know, the history and just like the key points or facts about Beltane. And then we'll get into, of course, the Scorpio full moon and the way it may impact your dreams. And so, one of the things that I love to do, and I actually on my YouTube channel, I have like, I guess you could say a series of the Sabbats in reference to the astronomy and the ritual. So, how to like work with the Sabbats, just like through a small, simple ritual that I share, as well as like the astronomy. So, I go in a little bit into that. But Beltane essentially is like, as far as the wheel of the year or the cycle of our perspective of the sun moving through our sky over the course of a year. When it's the Beltane time, which is generally April 30th, sundown from April 30th to sun up or sundown, sorry, on May 1st, it marks the peak of spring. And in the olden times, they also would actually say that it was the beginning of summer. But it is that essentially that transition point. And when you think about this time of the year, like from the astrological perspective, it generally is around, as far as like the sun moving through the birth chart or like a transit chart, it's the point in which the sun reaches about 15 degrees Taurus. So that's like the halfway point of Taurus season. And then just to add in another little thing there, when it comes to the astronomical point, like if you want to pinpoint, it's the sun's journey from like that eastern point, the most eastern horizon, which is like that point of Aries, to the tropic of Cancer, which is like, you know, the point that is the indication of summer solstice. That halfway point tends to happen around May 5th. Like it'll go around May 5th, May 6th, something like that. And I really love having like all of this in mind because I feel that it gives me like a bigger window. So it gives me a grace period to get my shit together if I want to do
Mm-hmm.
anything. And again, what is time, right? But it's perfect because like where I am right now, it's pouring down raining. And I really want to do the practice with the dandelions. I want to do that again with my daughter. So, and there are dandelions everywhere this year. Like they're in abundance. So hopefully this weekend it will be dry and I'll get in that window, between May 1st and May 5th for me. But again, what it's time. So I think it's just being in the energy and having that intention is essential.
Yeah, I mean, the dandelions are just rapid fire this year. They are asking to be used for ritual. I'm just saying. Like, they are
There's so
abundant all over. They're beautiful, and they're beautiful in both their forms. Like, you're seeing them in their cute little yellow forms, and seeing them in their essential skeletal seed forms. I
I
love
know,
it.
right? Where my daughter, I'm curious to see how she's gonna feel this year because like
Oh,
she
yeah.
she didn't really have any response last year, I don't think. But for those of you who didn't listen to previous episodes, like the year that, which was like maybe 3 years ago, my daughter and I went in the yard and just picked all the dandelion flowers out and laid them about in the threshold of our front door. And she was so excited. And of course, like, they're coming up like literally wildflowers, they're in abundance. And so they're still out, there's so many out there. And then they all turn to like, the dandelion. I like that you said skeletor, like that
Yeah,
seeding
it's like a
part of the phase,
skeletal seed
right? Right.
thing.
And she like freaked out. She just had the ick and was just not about it. So I'm excited to see um how it is this year. But speaking of like the seed aspect with Beltane, that's also another important like key energy of this time of year is the fertilization of the seed. And so this is the time where like different communities would honor the god and goddess, and so you would have, and like mainly their unification and the fertilization of the seed and that fertility and abundance and things coming to manifestation as we get closer and closer to the summer. So that would be like the fire festivals would also be like sex,
Yep.
ritual festivals and things of that nature. So it's this like fertilization of the seed and seeing the seed like spread, like far and wide, and this abundance of all of that.
In all of the ways the seed can be spread, it will be spread.
Right? So
But that bringing that up is so important because I feel like, especially in America, sex is stigmatized. And I feel like people don't really talk about it. And especially they don't talk about it in conjunction with a Sabbath or a holiday outside of like Valentine's Day. But Valentine's Day is like whatever. Like it is what it is. But with the fire energy of Beltane, like really practicing those rituals and feeling that fiery energy within you and like allowing yourself to have this creative union. And it doesn't even have to be sex. I mean, you could put this towards creativity, like, putting your ideas in motion and bringing them to fruition and like pulling those seeds of creation out and just, birthing whatever comes to mind, whether it's sculpture or paintings or, cooking, teas, whatever it may be. And even thinking about the dandelions, like if you have a thing about not like picking wildflowers, because I know there are some people who don't really want to do that aspect of it. Go to the
mhm.
store and pick up a box of dandelion tea or dandelion root tea, and
Yeah.
you can kind of like celebrate in that way where you may not be doing like all of the work to get there, but you're still bringing the symbolism in. Like you can do it
Yeah.
in any way you want. There are
Yeah.
no rules. That's kind of why it's such a nice experience moving through these Sabbats. Like there's ancient rituals and whatnot, but influenced by that, you can kind of take the reins and do what feels right and intuitive to you.
Yeah, literally get creative with it. And that's like just that in itself is a part of the energy. And I think that's like the fun aspect of it, which is why I like this book, because it gives you like you can bake stuff, you can cook stuff, you can make drinks, you can make crafts. And so there's so many ways that you can kind of have fun with the energy. We don't have to like always do like a ritual with the candle and like, the spell or whatever, which that's great too. But there are many ways to kind of switch it up because, if you've been doing this for a long time, it comes back around and you're like, all right, like, I'm feeling a little bit like I've worked that horse and now I want to try something different. So the key is just it's connecting to even the spirit of the sun like that, and especially this time of year. So it is like that increasing strength, increasing vitality, like the days are longer, it's getting warmer. And of course, this is from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, which will actually get into the other perspective because of like this being a very significant Beltane because of that full moon in Scorpio, which is just like when I saw that.
I can feel the
Yes.
intensity, just like the shadow of the intensity building up. I can feel it. And even just like bringing the Scorpio energy in with that sexual energy from that perspective and the sexual energy from the Beltane perspective. And I love that you were kind of like, oh, you can do candles, but you can also do other things. But you can also mix them all up together. You can
Yeah.
pour dandelion tea, cold, preferably, I'm sure, on, your bed, and then use candle wax and during
Oh,
sex and whatever.
yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
have
You can get,
be
especially this,
cre- yeah,
this Beltane is the one to get freaky for sure. And I'm
absolutely.
thinking of like the actual bigger festivals. Like
Hmm.
I wonder if they're taking advantage of this particular Beltane with that Scorpio full moon.
Hmm. Well,
And
what's funny? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Real quick, before my I was listening to someone else talking about Beltane, and they had mentioned that for them, the energy that Beltane gives off is like at night dancing around naked around a bonfire. That's like the Beltane energy.
I want
So
to do
that
yeah,
Scorpio moon emphasizing that 1000%.
yeah.
If you guys have an opportunity to go to a nude bonfire, I'm envious.
Right. I know. I'm like, like why does it have to be this year? This better happen again. I need to look at the astrology of that, like to see when again will there be a full moon like on Beltane, or like it could be the night before, right? Because it is like that April 30th to May first, and not like around, but still, it's to have it on the same day is like extra potent. For
Mm-hmm.
the night of, which I just want to see what time actually. Okay, it's in the afternoon. Ooh, so that full moon is yeah, so it's at 1:23 p.m. Eastern time. So it's like literally right in between. It's kind of like that's almost the peak of like sundown of the previous day of April 30th to sundown on May 1st. So it's like right in the halfway point. So that threshold energy, that duality, the liminal space, the thinning of the veil, that is very potent with this moon as well. And if you are like in the southern hemisphere too, when it's going to be, it'll be, or wherever you are, like when it's nighttime at like whenever time it's, in the afternoon here, that's probably pretty potent too. Like
I'm
that's
sure.
potent to have that full moon up, and you know and even here
Absolutely.
though, because you'll have the increasing light, like the full moon,
Hmm.
the moon will be full April 30th night, and it's going to be increasing in light, so you get to take advantage of that like waxing energy if you really want to. Woo, okay, I'm starting to think about what I want to do. I'm like,
I
which
know.
do I want to work with here?
Well, and even thinking about sex, like I want to emphasize the fact that you don't have to be having sex with another person either. Like you can be having sex with yourself, and you can include your spirit team. Like you can bring in your deities or connect with the
Cool.
earth or connect with fire, and like really pull in this like creative, just intense, wonderful, sexy energy. Like you
Yeah.
could
Like
read a
wear
hot
something, like do
fanfic
yourself
and kind
up,
of
like
like
wear
go,
something like sensual,
yes.
like around the house, and just like have your own little dance party.
You
And
know what's coming to mind? Okay, this is so funny. Like a pentagram on the ground, like made of like salt or whatever, or drawn on the ground and like laying in the middle with your candles and calling in your deities and like
well, have
really
you
like
seen the image
flowers
of
sprinkled
that
around you.
movie, The Love Witch? Have you seen the image from the movie The Love Witch?
Yes.
That's okay. So that's exactly what I thought about. So I'm like that that vibe right there. But yeah, no, there are so many ways again that you can observe it, and just like, going with the flow, um, in your own energy and just what comes through. Like I feel like that's the biggest thing is not overthinking it, because with these Sabbats, there have been years where like I just overthink it and then I don't
Yeah.
do anything. Or like, I just, yeah. Generally it's like I overthink it and I do too much, and it's like either I miss it, have to do it the next day, or I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just not going to do anything. So I think
Right.
just showing up, in the energy and being intentional with it and just going with the flow.
I just, our bodies are the physical manifestations holding our souls. And I feel like paying attention to our bodies during this time is going to be healing in a very intense way as well.
Right. Especially like now that I'm thinking about it and speaking of just being in the energy, I'm like, there's so much peakness in this like Beltane, which naturally it is the peak of spring, right? Or the halfway point between spring and summer. Then we have like we're at the halfway point or the peak of Taurus season, but then there's a full moon, so it's the peak in light of like the lunar energy in Scorpio. So it's just like there's being in the body and really grounding yourself. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be important. That just kind of came through with your share. And
Yeah,
so just to kind of take it into the dream space and how this will come up, like, this is going to likely be a busy time in the dream space. And like my dream space has been quite busy, and I've been, as far as like my remembrance of it has been kind of wax and waning. Like now I'm kind of in the waning part
hmm
of my remembrance. And so I definitely feel like I'm going to personally just be very present, like slowing down. Like I'm going to be drinking tea and not having my like champagne, which nothing wrong with champagne, but like just maybe slowing down a little bit and preparing myself for sleep, because I feel, with us, we have the Scorpio rising. And
right.
I think that's going to be really significant. And for, everyone, we just had Uranus completed cycle in Taurus, right? And
Yep.
so that's where the sun is. And that connection of sun and moon in these two places of literally like what we're experiencing with the sun like in Taurus, and it is Taurus season, and this is like the peak of all those Taurian themes as well. But then we have on the other side like this illumination in the place of like the subconscious and the shadow and the hidden aspects represented by Scorpio. And so there is like, just if you basically are present, there's a lot to come through. But also, if you're not present, it could probably easily bypass you because there's so much going on, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, it might be kind of hard to like hold on or remember these things if we're not being present with our dream space. And so, for those of you watching it beforehand, obviously you have like, or before Beltane, you have a little bit of time to prepare. But also it's definitely going to be, I feel like the whole weekend, I feel is going to be really activated. And so it's definitely a significant window when it comes to just even this with the veil being thin. It's like this transition of um like from going from one side to the other, right? So it could be death into rebirth, and we're kind of already into the like in the rebirth now in spring. So it could be like the rebirth into like coming into like to blossoming, to coming to fruition. So this transition might be kind of like a boost in that, if you're present and play, your cards right in that way.
Absolutely. And speaking of the veil being the thinnest, I think it's important to acknowledge, especially with Scorpio full moon, paying a little more attention and putting more intention towards protection.
Mm,
I feel like right now, especially, I feel like this is a really great time to, get in communication or in touch or even just celebrate ancestors and loved ones who have passed and, kind of dive deep into that ancestral work. But making sure that you are protected, making sure that, you know, maybe some ancestors you don't want to come through and being more intentional with the way that you try to manifest these experiences, especially in the dream realm, even just as simple as, putting a protection sigil on your wall or, four cornerstones, like four protection stones on all four corners of your bed, and then like calling in specific things that you might want to kind of allow yourself a path forward with protection against things you might not want to integrate with.
mm. Yeah, that's a really good point. Having that protection because like I mean, we didn't say it directly, but I think it's clear that, and we've said it in other episodes, speaking of Beltane, this is like Beltane and Samhain are like opposites, right? So these are opposite points of the year. And so if you're in the southern hemisphere, you are going to, this is your essentially your Samhain. Even though globally we acknowledge it as Beltane, because I have friends that live in Australia and they acknowledge it as Beltane.
Right.
Um, so, and there's a whole thing there too, as far as like the Earth as a whole, like we're still, the sun is still moving in our skies to the Tropic of Cancer, which is the most northern point
Right.
in this like path of the sun in our sky. So we're seeing it collectively as this peak of, the sun's ascension to the highest point, right? Um, but nonetheless, there's still like this opposition of the wheel. And so having the moon in Scorpio, it like kind of activates basically that opposite end, right? That Samhain end. So as far as like the connection to the ancestral realm, the connection to like the realm of the dead, like that's I mean, it's always, it is open, but now it's even more so potent,
Right.
especially when it comes to the dream space. So, it's interesting. Last night in the sofa chat, we were talking about like it just came up as far as like sleep paralysis and the experience in sleep
Mhm.
paralysis, and then we started talking about like our shadows and demons and so forth, like how it's experienced like in that hypnagogic state or like in the dream space and so forth. And it's like you can't make that up because this is, a time where those occurrences might be a little bit more like potent, or like that in between space is a little bit more active.
Right.
So you mentioning, just having some protection if you feel inspired to do so, if you feel like that resonates for you, is definitely a time to do so. And like for me personally, one thing I keep saying, and it should be this week and I do it, but I need to, this is the time of year where I do the energetic cleanse, um,
Yes.
and like reaffirm my like protection, uh, whatever forces or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Um, I do that more so this time of year versus like the Samhain time, which is interesting. But I think it's more so specific to my environment
Right.
because I've noticed there's a lot more activity in this home on this land during this time of year. So
Well, and it's not even just it's the fact that the veil is thin, not just for ancestors and, the other side, but also the fae and nature spirits and, everything in line with that too. So there's a little more mischief.
yeah, yeah, you gotta clean those corners and shut it like
Yes, I am right there
just
with you. Ring your bell around the house if you're not a fan of smoke cleansing, or,
yeah,
have some kind of essential oil room spray and with intention and go around,
butter, salt. Like that's another
salt. Yeah.
depending on how you feel about it. But a friend of mine, because I was having a lot of activity in my dream space in the in between a couple years ago, and he recommended, he was like, oh, you can like do a circle of salt around your bed. And I did, and it definitely was very helpful. I remember it being really helpful. And so if you don't mind, like as far as like, it doesn't have to be really thick.
Right.
Like the intention is everything, but yeah, you just sweep it up or vacuum it up, and that in itself is a part of the clearing. And so that's something you could do as well, as far as like protection or just a clearing and purification in your sleeping space. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of cleaning the sleeping space, and yeah, just enforcing some sort of boundaries for
I am
sure.
so excited to dream. I'm so excited to dream the next couple of days. I'm
Yeah.
so excited to see what comes through. I'm so excited to connect. Like I'm really looking forward to the dream space. Like I always am, but I'm specifically looking forward to this dream space.
Yeah.
And guys, remember it's May 1st, so don't forget to blow your cinnamon through your door frame, your
Ooh.
front door or back door.
So what's the significance of doing it on May 1st
Well, it's
specific?
just the first of the month. So
Oh,
the
okay.
first of
Oh,
the
so
month
you do
you
it on the first of the month generally? Because I've
right.
heard you speak about this before, but I didn't know. Okay, so it's specific to the first of the month. Okay.
Yeah, I go outside and I essentially have a little sprinkle of cinnamon on my hand and I stand outside the door and I essentially say something along the lines of, um, with this blessing, I hope to have abundance and health and wealth and, luck and all of the things for the month to come. And then I blow it through my door frame. And you can do, there's another one you can do where some people blow from inside the house outside to clear and then do it inside,
Hmm.
like kind of like do both.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll cleanse my normal way and then do the cinnamon
You do it from
spell.
in inside.
Yeah. So it blows through your door with the intention to bring abundance and wealth and
Oh,
health and all the
yeah.
things. And I always feel like a little lacking when I forget. Like I always feel like when a month where I don't do it, I'm
Oh no. Yeah, I'm
like
excited.
I don't feel quite as abundant this month.
Well, cinnamon is perfect too because it's like it's a that like plant, herb, whatever you want, spice, like it's associated with fire.
Yep.
So it's like even more perfect too for this specific. Like May 1st is just like it's a good day to do some magic, like to
Yeah.
really connect with spirit, like in the
I hope
energies.
the weather's dry on Friday.
I don't know if it's gonna be here. I don't really, and it's gonna be chilly, but hopefully, like
Mhm.
honestly, if there's a dry patch tomorrow or the next day, I'm definitely gonna do the Daniel. I should have did it. I should have done it yesterday because and my neighbor, it's funny, she like does not like Dan. I don't want to say she doesn't like him, but she gets really frustrated because like she just mowed her lawn and I know she's pissed. She just mowed her lawn and like it was clean and you know how they do though. And like her yard is covered. And we just mowed our lawn. So we don't have any right now, even. So I would naturally have to wait a couple of days. But she is so down for us to like come and pick them out of her yard. Cause when we were doing it a couple of years ago, she was like, oh, you should do my yard, you know.
And it's
So
nice because you're not like right on the street, right? Like you're not on like a main road.
no, I'm not. I'm in a residential neighborhood
I'm
area.
like in the city on a main road in
Right.
the
Yeah,
city.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, so the
Yeah, I heard
dandelions
about it too.
don't feel particularly
Yeah,
healthy to
yeah,
pick.
yeah.
But I mean, I, we have microplastics in our blood. Oh, what does it matter
Yeah,
anymore? Like our waters are
yeah,
polluted and all this other stuff. Who cares?
yeah.
I can take a little
Well,
motor oil pollution
right.
on
Yeah.
my
I mean, who knows
dandelions,
what's in
I
our
guess.
what's streaming in our like veggies and fruits and stuff, like the soil. And that's a whole deep dive. But
Yes.
yeah, I love like today I was driving in like half my neighborhood are like these old stucco type homes, very like characteristic, um,
Ooh,
very like cool and like whimsical.
I
And
love
then
it.
the other part of our neighborhood are the like the 60s ranch, which is my home. Like I didn't get one of the
Right.
cool, which is fine. But like, but all my view are the cool ones. And
Hmm.
so it's funny, I was coming down the street and it's like we're coming down a hill and like one of my neighbors on the corner, oh my gosh, her house, she has like Studio Ghibli, like the Totoro, like that animation, like that's her house, like
Oh,
literally she has the lights and everything, oh my gosh, and her whole yard was covered in dandelions. If I hope I can get a picture of it tomorrow, but I saw that and I was just like, oh my gosh. And I know she loves it. I know she's always out there like messing with her garden and stuff. And I'm just like,
I
oh,
cannot wait to have a house. Like I just
it's
want this
so
beautiful little like it's so funny because I watched Practical Magic the other day
yeah.
and it's such a like classic
I
like
love that movie. Yeah.
and the second one's coming out in
I
September.
know.
So I was like really feeling it and I just the big house on the edge of the cliff along the ocean with all this yard and garden space where all the herbs are
Yeah.
growing and all this.
Huge house.
I'm
And
like
you have
I
like the
just like
witch sisters and like,
maybe someone distant in my family will like maybe I'll be the only heir and they'll be like here's
yeah,
this magical house.
right. Right. I'm pretty sure that was like in Maine or something or Vermont. It's like one of those like northern state, like the really pretty upstate areas. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it
I
was filmed in Seattle. I could be completely
was
wrong.
it?
Don't
Well, I
take
don't
me.
know where it was filmed, but I thought like it was supposed to be in like
I
in
Yeah, I think it was
New England
supposed to be.
area, but I
Yes.
could be wrong.
No, no,
Um,
no, you're right. I think that's the location it's supposed to be, but I
yeah,
think where they actually film, like the house is
probably.
located on the West Coast.
That's funny. Which actually the Northwest is very similar to, from what I've heard. Well, no, I've been to Northern California, but from what I've heard, it's similar to like this part of like northern eastern, like the New England area, right? um which I've been to San Diego, and there's some parts of not Syracuse where I'm at specifically, but actually where we were in Ithaca, like if you go in the hills and stuff, it really reminds me of San Francisco. So it's kind of like those really high hills and like curvy roads, so it's kind of like that. So I can see how they can kind of get away with that.
We should go back to Ithaca.
We're definitely going back to
We
Ithaca
should go back to Ithaca
and
on a
explore, because they
Sabbath.
have like all they have, right? And they have like
Yes.
all the waterfalls and like, oh my gosh, yeah, we gotta do it. Um, but with that said, yeah, so I know we're getting close here to the hour. Are there any other things you want to add about, we touched on the Scorpio full moon and like that, like there is a major duality, and we've been talking about this. We've been seeing like that whole peak energy and how like we have the polarities happening. And oh yeah, one thing I did want to mention was that even though it's a fire, it is a fire festival or a fire Sabbath, which I think all of them are technically because they're honoring the sun, the solar cycle. But like this also does integrate like the water element too with the feminine, and how we have the masculine and the feminine energies coming together in celebration to like fertilize the seed. Here and in my book it says, here it says fire wasn't the only element believed to be especially potent at Beltane. Water was also thought to have supernatural power. It was widely believed that the Beltane morning dew was infused with magical powers capable of preserving youth, clearing skin elements, and enhancing beauty and sexual attractiveness. So that morning dew was really significant. And it says also holy wells were also visited during the festival.
Yep.
The first water drawn from a well on Beltane morning was thought to be extremely potent and magical. People would walk clockwise around the well to mimic the direction of the sun moving from east to west. Then offerings of coins or other small tokens were given to the sacred wells, residing spirit, in hopes of gaining their favor and blessing. So that's something you do too. Work with like a water fountain or a well
Do you
water.
live by any wells? I would love to visit a well. I don't know
Or
if
I
I live by
do.
any.
Yeah, I know there. I don't know where specifically, but hell yeah, like yeah, it's old. It's olden up here, like so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should look that up
I
and see.
should look it up too,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. The East Coast is like when you get in the Northeast area, it's just like so old, old.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's actually a shame because we don't really like take care of our architecture as well as we
Yeah,
should have. And the amount of beautiful old houses that are just sitting and rotting until they're plowed down to sell the like property. It's a shame because there's so much character and spirit. It's so sad.
there's
But
there's one
sorry.
house around here that has like a little mini observatory. And
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
realize, like I drive past it, or I used to. I don't go that route anymore, but I used to drive past it all the time. And it was like, then I think I saw it on Instagram. So then I went back around there and I could saw, because there was like a little dome part like on the top floor. And I think I think someone still lives there. Yeah. So they're taking care of it. But there's
Okay, good. I thought you were gonna
yeah.
say this is like
Oh no, no,
falling
no,
apart and
no,
nobody.
no.
I'm like, well, let's play the lottery.
Right. Well, there's so
Let's.
like they have so many of these old houses for like cheap. And one of my friends in Colorado will still send me like house listings. Like I'm here, they're in Colorado, and they're like, "Oh, did you see this house? Did you see this?" I think you've
Yeah.
seen a couple too.
Yeah.
So
Because
it's
there's
like
so
there's
many
so
that are
many.
just sitting.
It's
Like
so
there's either people who don't like that, like all of the people from the family passed away, so they're
yeah,
just there's nobody to take it over.
yeah,
Or on the other hand, the people who lived there inherited the house and then didn't have the money to maintain, so they moved out. or it's just abandoned, and it's so sad because again there's so much
Yeah.
spirit, so much just
Yeah.
oh god.
Right. It's like
But
the practical magic houses, like just in the city, but they're all like big and ornate and like
mhm,
there's so much
mhm.
life in there.
I
But
do
yeah,
want to say, like, in regards to the conversation, I want to add that in regards to dream work with Beltane, I think this is a really potent time to set intentions. So,
mm,
do some dream incubation, set
yeah.
your intention before bed, do it April 30th and May 1st, do it like both nights, and really have this idea of what you want to come through written down, or like just like manifested in a meditation as you're going to bed, and really allow the fiery energy to pull that through. Um, if there's anything that you want answers on, or you need some guidance, or you want to like connect with your ancestors or any nature spirits, or you want some ideas to come through, really take this time to be intentional and dream,
Mm.
incubate, and see what comes through. Because I guarantee you, with how potent it's going to be, you're going to get some, you're going to get something.
Yeah, you're definitely, yeah.
You're going to get something.
And that's one thing I really do feel or resonate with is that our when we do ask the questions, I feel that our inner being does generally always answer. Like it might not answer that night, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it does. And that's one thing I learned too. I don't have the book out here right now, but and I can't, of course I can't remember the name of it, but it's a like if you Google dream incubation book, I think you have it too, maybe.
I do. I do.
Yeah, you do.
Uh, do
You remember
you want
the
me to
title?
grab it real quick?
Yeah,
Yeah, let
totally.
me grab it. It's right on my phone.
But yeah, in that book, he speaks about how the dreaming self is always answering our questions. Like if you're doing dream incubation, especially if you're really intentional with it, and it's not answered in the way that you may expect it to be. And like we know, the dreams are heavily symbolic, and there it is, dream guide. Oh, that's such a good book, and it gives really good
It
practices.
is. It's a
But yeah,
really good book.
since that it's always your dreams are always answered, and it's just let them reveal themselves over time, like the meaning of
Mhm.
it, because it's like it's not literal as we know. But then even when it's in response to a question, like you might be have a certain expectation on the answer or how it's supposed to like manifest or whatever it is, the guidance, but it could be something like said in a completely different way. So I would normally just interpret as I would do kind of any other dreams, like associated with that question, but just see what comes through and then let that sit and marinate and see what else comes through. And generally, like just from my own experience, you have an aha moment
Right.
where it's like, oh, that's what that meant, you
Right.
know?
And if you're not going to do the dream incubation because of one thing or the next, we're all very understanding, and life is abstract and you can't always do what you want to do, as we talked about with previous Sabbats and Beltane celebrations. Look out for some of these dream symbols that might come through. Look out for, just pay attention, see if anything like fire or candles or bonfires or any type of like fiery energy comes through, any kind of like walking in nature, connection with nature, how that might come through. Babies or pregnancy. Um, of course, sex and romance, which that would be a fun one to incubate too. If you're not going to do it in the waking, you might as well do it in the
Right?
sleeping.
Have a have a sex festival.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, my
Feast.
dreams are like loaded with it's like it's been actually maybe a week that I haven't had like sexual dreams. And like now I know like I've had them so much it doesn't really, if anything, it kind of like annoys me because I'm just like because I'm not like having sex in my waking life. And so but I know that it's specifically creative and I know what it has to do with for the most part. But yeah,
Hmm.
so mine were like loaded. So if you're having like sexual dreams, that's fun. That's like right on point for this energy, like that creative, like fiery energy is yeah, so potent.
You
Erotic.
know, I
symbols?
kind of want to look through my dream journals and see where maybe some of the sex dreams that I've had might align with the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Like maybe the dreams that I specifically had that involved sex, because I don't have them too often, were aligned with like Beltane.
Well, I feel like you this year you were having like it wasn't Beltane per se, but it was like
Hmm.
heading towards that energy.
True, true.
Yeah. I mean, it might not be like around like on that date, but if it's kind of in like a window of like we're growing in light, we're growing in activity, we're growing in
Right.
like coming closer to the spirit of like fire within these like important moments of the year, then you might start to see that creative energy, those type of symbols showing up more and more in your dreams, which like I said, I've
Absolutely.
it's been loaded and
Hmm.
pun intended, and it's like now it's kind of quiet, so we'll see
Right.
what happens.
It's
But
saving up. It's like saving its energy. It's building its energy. It's
right,
gonna.
especially with the Scorpio, I'm just like, oh my gosh, universe,
No,
what are you doing?
exactly. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's
But
gonna
like
be.
some other, symbols that might show up, like feasts and food, of course, what comes to mind
Oh
right off the rip is like Pan's Labyrinth feast.
yeah.
So if that type of energy comes through, don't eat any of the food on the table. It's a trick. um, but and then the other aspect is thresholds, veils, doors,
Mhm.
and portals, and really pay attention to how you feel when you're in front of the door. If you choose to go through, what it feels like going through, what's on the other side, like feel the sensory aspect of it too. But, like I mentioned, going back and looking at, previous Beltanes or like times of dreaming and looking at what came through around Beltane in previous years, this might be a good opportunity for you to look into your dream history as well. Go
Yeah.
back, see, go through your dream journals and see around this time what your dream space was like. It might even be guidance and keys towards where you are in your path today. Because dreams are weird and time is irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this is like I feel with it as a portal, especially with this specific Beltane, it's like I feel like this side, I feel like the veil, okay, so yes, the veil's been thinning, but I feel like just in my personal experience and what I've been observing in others is that like we've already had like a really good view of the other side of the veil in many ways, like the nature spirits, or maybe it's like, ancestors, past level, whatever. But I feel like I don't know, like I just feel that there's a potential for like the full illumination of the other side of the veil. And I think like what's kind of like, so this might be a special message for me, but just like this new frequency or like your new reality or just how things are, like I feel like there's like gonna be a big shedding as we're moving through the other side of the veil because of that
Mhm.
Scorpio energy. So like the shedding and like because we've already like transitioned from Uranus and Taurus, and there's just been so much going on where I feel like it's like a major clearing. Like I see it as like a phoenix rising from the ashes type
Yes.
energy. And
Yes.
so I'm like, okay, who are we going to be on the other side of the veil? Like, what's going to go,
Hmm.
like, what like profound experience will we have in the dream space that just like it rings a bell? It's like an aha moment. And we just
Right.
have like, it could just even be clarity. You're like, oh, I
The
see.
clarity,
Yeah.
yes. Like I said, I am so excited. I really feel very optimistic and very like ignited by the energy. And I'm so excited to dream. And I'm so excited to hear about how this comes through in your guys' dream space. So, if you do end up having profound dreams that you want to share, April 30th, May 1st, or even like into the weekend, message us, email us, we can talk about it and talk about it on the podcast, whatever. It's so exciting to see what comes through.
Yeah. I'm really excited. Awesome. Well, this is our last chat on, well, actually, you know what? I'm sure the Beltane energy might come back up in the Dark Moon Dream Reflections because I was like, oh, this is our last chat on Beltane. but I'm like, oh, wait, we got a reflection period.
Hmm.
So, but nonetheless, this was a really good chat, and I think we touched on it in a like at a deeper layer, and also from a slightly different perspective, which is nice. And yeah, so I think I feel pretty good with what we shared here.
I feel really good about this. You know, it's so funny because I almost felt like this was my redemption episode because the last time when we talked about Beltane, what happens is like when I take a lot of notes, I start to get like stuck in the notes and then it's not as fluid. It's not as like if it's very I just mess up. I mess up and I'm embarrassed and it sounds bad and I'm like, God, people are listening to this and they're probably like, who is speaking right now? Like, why are they talking? Like, but this was such a wonderful conversation and there was so much flow. And I can definitely feel maybe that's why it was so like stuffy for me last time because we were too far away from Beltane. And
Yeah,
like now we've been
for
in the
like
shadow and
30.
it's like coming through more naturally.
Yeah, and yeah, so I think it's just like going with the flow, and we feel it like it's just channeling through so nicely. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, and I know like when you have like all of this, like these insights, it's like you get excited and you want to share it all. And then it's like, but then you kind of get stuck and frozen in like everything moves so fast. And then you're trying to, yeah. So I've been there. I'm sure people listening have been there, and no one even notices but you, really. So,
That's
um, we're our hardest critic.
true.
But
That's
no,
true.
this is great. And I'm really excited to share more on this on the other side of this veil. And I know our next episode, I'm pretty sure we're going to be sharing about sleepwalking and sleep talking, I believe. So that's going to be exciting. And if you have any experiences with that, definitely feel free to DM us on Instagram or send us an email and just share your experiences with sleepwalking or sleep talking or any dreams, of course. And our email address is in the description of this video, but it's the innerverse podcast at gmail.com. Yes, I
Right.
got it right. Yeah, so awesome. Well, I think I'm pretty good. Um, but thank you. Thanks, Jackie, for being here. Jackie said hi in the chat. And yeah, thank you everyone for supporting us. Please like the video if you enjoy this, and please share and subscribe, do all the things. We're almost to 100 followers on YouTube, so I'm excited about that.
You know,
We're
we're almost to 200 on Instagram too, which is exciting.
nice. Yeah. So share the love. It's hard out here for us creators and just sharing on these fun topics. But yeah, so share if there's anyone that you think would enjoy this. In the meantime, enjoy Beltane, the full moon, and sweet dreams.
Yes, have a blessed Beltane and sweet dreams.